Now, in this video, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the mapping tools available in Microsoft Power BI. I've used mapping software in many different environments, and with many different tools, and Power BI is one of the best platforms for demonstrating geospatial data. It's powerful, flexible, and most importantly, incredibly user-friendly. You don't need to work with precise latitude and longitude values, and you don't need to manually look up coordinates. If you have any type of geographic indicator, such as a town name, postal code, country, or continent, there's a very good chance that Power BI will be able to automatically recognize it and integrate it smoothly into its map visuals. So let's take a look at how this works. If you look at the Visualizations pane, you'll see 4 different mapping options. The globe icon represents the standard map visual. In addition to that, you also have a filled map, a shape map, and ArcGIS maps for Power BI. All of these map visuals work in a very similar way. They accept many of the same types of fields, but each one has its own style and capabilities. I'll show you some comparisons between them, but we'll start with the basic map visual. When we add the map visual to our report canvas, it drops into the remaining space. If you look at the fields list, you'll see that it asks for some type of location indicator. In our dataset, the DIM customers table includes columns for city, province, and country, and Power BI can easily recognize these fields as geographic data. Let's grab province and drag it into the location field. Immediately, we see the map begin to populate. At this point, however, there's no actual data being visualized yet. There's no legend and no values, only points identifying the different provinces or states from Canada and the United States. So this is a good starting point, but we're not quite there yet. We need to provide a measure to compare and visualize. For example, if we want to analyze province-level performance by sales, we can take the total sales measure from the orders table and place it in the bubble size field. The bubble size represents the relative magnitude of total sales. Larger bubbles indicate higher sales values. We can display the category labels, such as the province names, but the map visual does not directly support numeric data labels. To display those values, you typically need to rely on tooltips or other workaround solutions. Now let's switch the visual type to a filled map. This visual works in a very similar way, but instead of placing bubbles or dots on the map, it fills in the boundaries of each province with color. If you prefer this style, it's perfectly fine to use it. You'll notice that the size option disappears, because filled maps do not show values through bubble size. Aside from tooltips, the primary way to display values here is through color variation across regions, and we can use different colors for different provinces. The third option is the shape map. Shape maps are similar to filled maps, but they offer additional customization. By default, the shape map loads with a map of the United States, but we can change it to Canadian provinces in the map settings. A shape map is a special type of visual design to display data on custom geographic, or even non-geographic regions using a topo.json file. Unlike other Power BI map visuals, this gives you direct control over the shapes used in the visualization. In the map settings, you'll see an option for custom map. To customize the boundaries of a shape map, you must create or modify a topo.json file that defines those region boundaries. Tools such as MapShaper are commonly used to edit these files. Once the map is configured, the shapes are filled based on data values. For example, Ontario might appear as the province with the highest total sales, while Nunavut might show the lowest. Now let's look at the final option, ArcGIS Maps for Power BI, which is powered by ESRI. To use ArcGIS Maps, you can create an account and sign in. Having a licensed account provides additional features. For this course, however, we'll continue as a guest, which is sufficient for demonstration purposes. We'll use the same dataset as before. We'll place province in the location field and add total sales to the size field. One important thing to note is that ArcGIS requires an internet connection, which means it must be used online. That's one limitation compared to the other map visuals. However, ArcGIS is also more sophisticated and dynamic, and it offers many advanced mapping capabilities. Let's switch to focus mode so we can see the map more clearly. Initially, you'll see a global map view. On the left side, you'll notice a vertical toolbar with several options. The first icon opens the Layers panel. Next, you'll see options for the base map, where you can change the background style. For example, we can switch the base map to Street View. There's also a selection tool, a search tool, an analysis tool, and additional settings options. For our purposes, we'll focus on the Layers panel. If we expand the Layers section, we can see that one layer has already been created for our province field. Here we also see the data range representing total sales. Within the layer settings, there's an icon for symbology, where we can modify how the data is displayed. By default, the symbol type is set to bubbles, but we can also change it to a heat map or location markers if we prefer. Next, we have style options, where we can adjust the appearance of the symbols. Here you can modify the color scheme, size range, and outlines. There's also a label section. One advantage of ArcGIS is that it allows you to display data labels directly on the map. You can choose to display the province name or the total sales values. However, when using the guest version, you cannot display both at the same time. Finally, the last icon allows us to set the geographic location context. Right now, our province field is mapped globally. Instead, we can specify the country that our data belongs to. In this case, we'll select Canada. At the moment, the map is still displaying points. That means provinces appear as bubbles or markers. However, we can switch the display type to boundaries. Once we select boundaries and choose provinces or territories, the map automatically zooms in and outlines the correct provincial regions. There's also an option for exact match, which can be useful if you need more precise geographic matching for your dataset. So far, we've been visualizing total sales with bubbles or shapes. If we want to color the entire province instead, we can add the total sales measure to the color field. This temporarily resets the visualization back to bubbles. But if we return to the layer settings and adjust the color and size options, we can switch the visual to color-filled provinces. Now each province is shaded according to its sales value. You can further customize the appearance in the style options, where there are many different color ramp choices. You can choose whichever palette works best for your report design. Now let's return to the report view and adjust one important setting. You may notice that the map is not properly zoomed in. To fix this, open the formatting pane and go to Map Controls. Here we can enable the Zoom tool, which allows us to manually zoom into the map. Once you've zoomed to the desired level, you can also lock the zoom extent so the map stays fixed during interactions. There are also other formatting options you can toggle, for example, turning off the map title if you prefer a cleaner layout. When comparing ArcGIS maps with the shape map, ArcGIS generally provides greater geographic accuracy. Because it is built on a larger geospatial data platform, it is more likely to correctly interpret location data without requiring manual adjustments. This makes it particularly useful for users who need high-precision geographic mapping. Of course, there are many more capabilities within ArcGIS that you can explore beyond this demonstration. That wraps up today's lesson. In the next video, we'll talk about heat map visuals, which use color intensity to represent data values, making it easier to quickly identify patterns, trends, and potential problem areas. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful and would like to see more lessons like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support our work and stay up to date with future content. See you in the next video.